Hola, I knew we will eventually meet here at the surrendering of the soul phase. Even though this is a very intimate process and also very different for everyone, I know that we'll have something in common. We all feel extremely lonely when we go through it. Every day, I help others to reach a state of liberation by uncovering the gifts that are hidden under labels such as insecurity, trauma, grief, depression. But before being able to guide others to move from their post-traumatic stress disorder to a stage of post-traumatic growth, I had to learn how to transcend my own traumas due to verbal, emotional, and sexual abuse. This is a space where myself, Mendizabal, and others will share with you the gift of surrendering to the soul. And no need to buckle up because this trip is being guided by the Spirit in La Catch.
Today, I have a very, very, very special guest. Besides that, she's a soul sister of mine. She's a Libra sister of mine as well. And she is an adventure coach. How fucking cool is that? Like, come on. Like, who has the gut to say, I'm just going to be an adventure coach? So today we have Coach Kate with us, and she's willing to surrender to the soul. I'm so excited. And to see an adventure coach surrendering to the soul. What does that mean to you, Karrie?
Well, I believe, I heard the question the other day, how do you see life? Like, what is life to you? And some people might say, well, life is a party. Some people might say, well, life is a challenge, or life is a battle, or life is a battlefield. And I have always seen it as life is an adventure.
Yeah.
And because I believe I'm always supported, and I'm always also being surprised, and it's interesting as I go through life. I always say, I'm an adventure coach. I love adventure. I go on adventures. I lead adventures. And many times I'm taken on adventures. So when I ask for adventure and then something in my life happens, in the moment I could get flustered. And then I remember I'm like, hey, I asked for adventure. And that could mean, planning to do this, but we end up over here instead of that plan. And it's the unknown. Even if something's planned, I have found the most fun and the most memorable times are in those times of surrender as we're guided to something else. So sometimes it's fine to surrender a plan and shift to something else. Because what I have found, the best juice are in those times, whether it is on an actual adventure that I'm leading, or my daily life, or something I've planned with a friend and we missed the train. Well, okay, now we got to go at this time, or we got to go somewhere else. I found a lot of the really fun, memorable stuff is in the unplanned.
And in the unknown?
Yes. And I think we can only really allow ourselves to enjoy that when we surrender to it. So if something isn't going as planned, maybe there's something else better planned.
Planned for us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, especially. And how do you find that resistance? Because for us, Libra, I don't know if that happens to you, but for me, it's also very, very easy to change plans last minute. Actually, for me, it's very difficult to organize myself and do like a perfect plan, because just that part, it's just giving me anxiety lately. It's just like, so where do I have the space for the unknown, for the surprising part, for the fun? But dealing with other people, I have come across with a lot of structure people, that they need the structure. Mm-hmm. So I have, I have surrendered to their structure as well, because I understand it's important to them, right? But it's always that middle place that I'm like, am I wrong? Am I too going with the flow kind of person? Or is actually like finding that balance has been very challenging. I'm wondering who has been for you. Is like something you have to surrender as well?
It continues to be a challenge for me today, is the structure. And as well as we are airy people, and we love changing plans and spontaneous stuff like that. But I can enjoy that more when I have a plan. If there's a plan kind of laid out, then it's much easier to, okay, we'll do this, or okay, I'm relaxed into even something else that's there.
Yeah.
Right. And there are a lot of areas where I definitely do need more structure. And my partner really shows me those areas. And maybe that's why he's in my life. Those areas that I resist. And that there are certain areas that I can have more structure that will help me, that I do resist. Right. And eventually I will hire people for those areas, that I will have someone else do it because I am so resistant to it, to at least take that off my plate so I can go out, do my thing and have fun. Right?
Of course.
But I know, I'll give you an example, Jen. When I lead adventure tours, I have to plan them I plan them each day, all the details of each day. And that's part of the fun. So I go on each mountain tour a couple times, so I know all the details. So I do all the detailed stuff. So when the tour is happening and the people are there and the weather goes crazy, or something happens where we have to change plans, it feels fine because the plan was already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm okay to change and see where it takes us, because I realize, yes, the plan's there, but something else is guiding us to something else. But if I didn't have any plan, I would be chaotic. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't work out. But the fact that I have a plan in the background, then I'm free to play. Like I'm freer to play. We'll throw this in. Oh, well, we can throw that in, or see who shows up for us.
You can always go back to the plan. That's what you're saying, right? Somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Some sort of structure. Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because we're talking about surrendering to the soul. When have you, like, to the fucking soul, like we said at the beginning when we were talking? Wow. By the way, if you are watching in YouTube or like the video of this podcast, we're matching, and it was just a coincidence. We're totally matching my cushion with Karrie's headband, and it was just so funny and lovely as well. And my pants are orange, and
my pants are orange too.
Oh, there we go. Okay, but I want you, like, is there any story that you really like, any moment that you felt like, fuck, I need to surrender, and actually work out as a gift? like you really got surprised. And that, I don't know if that happens to you, but sometimes for me, it takes years to go back to that event or that something that happened. And it's like, wow, that was just all a gift all alone. And at that moment, I felt miserable. I felt like, why this is happening to me, right? Yeah. Now I'm getting better at it. I'm like, sometimes I get it like few days after, I'm like, there's a gift here. What's happening? The moment I say, like, the moment I feel the resistance, or the moment I feel like I didn't want that to happen to me, it was unexpected, then it's like, no, there's something else more that is teaching me, and I'm just gonna try to see it. So the whole perspective changed right away, right? And I don't know if you can think about any of those situations back in the time during your adventures that you were looking back now and you're like, wow, that really was a pivot point in my life.
Yeah, there's many. Like, I can definitely say one that, as far as a life phase, not so much an adventure, but a life phase, and another one on adventure. Back in 2002. 2002 was the peak of, I had suffered with OCD for many years, obsessive compulsive disorder. It kept me in the house for hours. It kept me doing rituals for hours upon hours upon hours. And I had a full-time personal training business at the time.
Wow. Tell us more about it. Like, how was to do a ritual with that obsessive compulsive disorder, right? And how was to be at home while you were having to do a business. Tell us more about it. Some people might not be very familiar to it, or some other people might be going through that, right? And they can get your point of view as well. So we want to know. We want to know how was to surrender to the soul of God.
Well, it's funny because I was also a competitive athlete and training people full time, and also dealing with this OCD. So it was like anytime I had a break, a rest, it took over, right? And it was like another being lived in me, and was threatening me the whole time, like a gun to my head, saying, do this. If you don't, we're going to hurt someone in your family. Do this. So I would, a typical day would be all of the mundane tasks, like brushing your teeth, getting ready to go to work, driving your car, is where it would take over the most, all the mundane tasks. So brush my teeth, I might have to be there for a long time, or do it 99 times before I put it away. Or if you go to the bathroom, I rip up pieces of toilet paper and there'd be paper everywhere. And so there's no sense as far as how it visually looks, but in the body is something convince me, if I don't do it like this, something tragic will happen. And the feeling of that tragic thing happen is coursing through my body. So I'm forced to do it. So as I'm training clients, I would be lifting up their weights, and I would doing funny things. And I know they would notice, but they wouldn't really, mention it so much. Right. Mm-hmm. And, I had the typical eating disorder stuff. So I'd be obsessing in the mirror the whole time. Any moment of freedom was absorbed in these obsessions. Right.
But what's a typical eating disorder for you? Because everybody has a different story behind. I have my own as well. So I'm curious, what is actually what you see as a typical eating disorder?
Well, not typical. I had, as a teenager, I had anorexia. So I was very severely underweight and very sick on 2 separate occasions. Started at 13 years old and came very serious at 17 years old. And So I had hair falling out, skin turning yellow, bones sticking out everywhere.
Wow.
So those, I got healthy in my body, but my mind hadn't changed enough, right? So I was able to move forward and coach people and have fitness in my life as my career.
That was in 2002.
That was part of it. Like
Same.
we're
Okay.
talking over
about 20 years back, 20
talking
years.
like a 20-year period.
Frame.
And
okay.
along with the eating disorder stuff, the OCD is kind of connected to that because they're both obsessive, right? It's this similar energy. They're both trying to frantically find control in my life. With the eating disorder, the control was that I can control the scale. You're darn tootin' I can make sure that weight stays at 100 pounds. I can't control what happens out there. I can't control the people that like me, or how well I do at this or my social life, but I can control this body. Is how it gave me a minute sense of peace. And the OCD, it's the same thing. I can't control out there, but I can control through the rituals. It gives me momentary moments of relief, but in the end, it makes it worse. So the rituals, it's a false sense of relief because it's actually makes it worse. You just get it. It's like any disease, alcohol, or, it just gets, the more you do it, it just gets worse. So I knew in 2002, yes, the eating disorder hit a peak. I wasn't at my ideal weight, but it was just the obsessing about it could go on for weeks. The down depressing moments about it would go on for a long time. And the OCD was so, it hit its peak. I was just so tired and exhausted from it that I knew I was ready to surrender. So I entered myself into a hospital that had a program. And once I was accepted in this program, an anxiety program, the sense of relief and surrender to me, it was like I was excited to go into this program. And I was excited to stop fighting it. I was excited to start somewhere. Now, back then, the only thing that I heard of was psychology. So I had a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. And I read some books, but we didn't have coaches. You didn't really hire coaches for this type of stuff. And once I came back once I was in the program and we started taking antidepressants, I knew I had to stop these antidepressants. I knew the biggest adventure of my life was about to start. And that was, I had to go in here. And I knew there was a lot of repressed feeling in there. And it scared me. Like, there's nothing that scared me more than to go in there. And admitting myself into this hospital was my mirror to show me it was just the start, right? And so that kickstarted me into Tony Robbins. I dove into his universities. I dove into the inside and had a psychologist. And that stuff was really scary shit for me to go in. So I understand when people really resist going on the inside, because that's the biggest adventure, right? But I surrendered, as much as there was resistance along the path, I surrendered to knowing I had to go that way.
Yeah. If there was there was no other way available anymore.
No, there's no other way. And I knew no matter how long it took. And these days you can compress time so much more than back then because there's so much more available. There's like too much information these days, right?
Too much, yeah.
There's way
It's
too much.
overwhelming.
Back then, seeing a psychologist seemed like the only really, and going to Tony Robbins was the only solution. And thank God that got the ball rolling. And then came actual adventures to the mountains after that. And there was more surrender. So the question about the surrender, I think I've had moments of extreme resistance where there's nowhere to go but to surrender and to let go. And that was the admitting myself into a hospital, admitting that I have this thing that, okay, admitting that I needed help. That was that I can't do this by myself, right?
Yeah.
And that was number one. And then surrendering to the fact that I had to go inside. I had to go in. And I knew it was going to be a hell of an adventure. And it still is today. It hasn't ended. you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think the resistance we have to go inside is because it never ends, right? It never ends. We have zero control. Once we're inside, we're like, it's just endless. The journey becomes endless.
But the difference now, because I still have lots of issues. I had what I would call a rough week this week with just resistance and different stuff. I see it now as opportunity, and I see it now as things to get curious about. So when I'm going through heavy resistance, like I did this week on Monday, there was a lot of purging and releasing I had to do with a friend. And I get curious about it. I'm like, okay, I wonder what's in there for me. Like, what is this? Why am I fearing so much in here? Or isn't that interesting how this part of my life is like this, but this part is bottled up? What is that? Where, like, it's more, I try not to get into the personality and identity of it. I try to see it from the outside as its own thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And see it as like an experiment. Okay, it's interesting how I react like that. Whereas before, that was my identity. But before, that was like who I am. And when we're talking about identity, then it's like we're owning.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm sick. Can the people see that I'm sick, that I'm carrying around this mental illness? Do people even want to talk to me? And now I just see it as energy moving through and information moving through. And we're just this vessel,
Beautiful. I love it, the information, because that's something I never have seen it like that, but it's true. It's a lot, for me, it's like learning experiences, right? And it's something that is teaching me or showing me or guiding me. But exactly, that is what it is. It's information. I love it. Or you just put it, okay, let's see this information that is happening inside me, and what is it trying to tell me?
Yeah. And sometimes we need help from the outside. I have to ask for help to help me see it more, right? To guide me a little bit more, because we're always evolving to different levels. And if you were to say to me in 2002, when I would be hours upon hours doing rituals, that I could live a somewhat normal life like now, I couldn't have believed you back then. Like, because it seems so far away, right?
Yeah. And you're in the middle of the storm.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's still lots of things I have to work on and improve on, all that stuff. But it's just crazy how when you put a focus, what you can change with intention, and what you can change so in quantum leaps now in a fast period of time now.
Yeah.
Compared to back then. So there's so much available for people, right?
Oh my God, it just got starting to snow right here. February the 2nd, right? In my living room. Well, you guys, some part of Canada has a lot of snow, but where I live in Vancouver, there's not much snow around. So during the winter, and today is one of those days. All right, what you were saying, sorry that I interrupt, but I got so shocked by seeing it. All right, so sorry to interrupt. So you were saying, like, when you are in that storm, right? When you were like, it looked so far, it looked for you, it seemed for you that it was impossible to get out of that storm, right?
Yeah.
But you mentioned it before that now somehow you can see it from the outside. You can see a storm and say, interesting, there's a storm happening, or something similar. What is it trying to tell me? What's the information there? What's the forecast?
Yeah. Yeah, I can still get in it. I can still get into the identity of it, but I can move much faster out of it. And I realize it's there for me. It's not something happening to me. It's happening for me. And I know that. And I take full responsibility that's, there's nothing. And when I see it like that, it's a different thing. Like when I know I'm responsible for all that's happening before me.
Yeah, you are the creator.
Whether it's my business, my relationship, my body, my finances, my free time, like my social life, I've created it. So if I want to change something, I got to create a new story, right? And if something in that pie is falling short, then I got to look, okay, what's the new story I can create around that? And there's some things that I need help. I need to ask for help because I may be very good at creating a body and a health, robust health, and living an adventurous life and creating freedom in your life. That stuff I've always done, right?
Okay.
And maybe other people need help on that.
And those guidance.
Yeah. I know how to do that well. But there's other areas maybe that I can fall and I need more guidance on. It's just like everybody is successful in certain things and maybe not so in other things. And so now I look back in the OCD and the eating disorders and all the anxiety and all the challenges as they're, it may be cliche, a lot of people say this, like as it was a gift, they're glad it happened. They're really stepping stones. They're really breadcrumbs to guide me to the next step. So am I grateful for them? Well, yeah, I can't think of any other way to be where I am now without that. They're the fire under the ass. Those are the things that got me to book the tour to Mount Everest Base Camp, to leave my husband for 6 months to go and find out what was wrong, and for him to trust. Like I had to just do things like that and leave my marriage for a period of time to go and, see, that was the call. That's what was calling me, right? And I had to risk the marriage to get closer to that alignment, because there was nothing, telling you, Jen, there was nothing more important. There is nothing more important than my inner peace
alignment
and flow. Even my husband, even my family, nothing. Because if I'm not aligned in here, what can I be to anybody else?
Yeah.
So I had to go away and search. And like you talked about missing piece before, I certainly felt there's a big missing piece. What am I, and maybe the mountains is going to show me this missing piece, but I was always pulled to the mountains to find the missing piece, right?
Yes. So have you found that missing piece?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, that's
let me go back. You were looking for that missing piece back then. So I'm not going to ask you if you have been looking for a missing piece because you just said it. But yeah, did you find that missing piece that you were looking for?
Well, I think the missing piece is just realizing it's the whole, to bring the whole self forward. And if I'm not willing to look at what we call the shadowy side, if we're not willing to look at the side that I don't want to bring forward, or share or talk about, then there's always going to feel like there's a missing piece because I'm denying a part of myself. And anytime that
I can feel the shimmers everywhere.
Anytime
Thank you for bringing that out. That's beautiful. Yeah, keep going.
Beautiful.
Like I can wait to bring that out. Because we're whole. Like, so every time you're just showing one part of yourself, just one, the one you want to see, the one you want to keep working on it, right? The one that other people want, the one you want to get. What's the right word? Admire for, right? Yeah. Then you're always missing the other piece of yourself.
Yeah. And so what I learned, and I learned it because I would go to the mountains, come back, and I realized, okay, I still don't feel whole. Then I go again, have the mountain highs, and I come back and I still don't. And it was showing me that you gotta take all of me everywhere, right? I can't just be free in the mountains and then close that part when I come back home. You cannot deny any part. And that's when I feel like there's a missing piece, it's because there's a part of me that I just cannot accept.
That's beautiful.
And it still happens today, because if I feel like there's a piece missing, I know there's a part of me that, and I can tell you right now, because I felt it this week. I felt I can't accept where I'm at. I am expecting myself to be here. I was comparing with other people doing the same thing as me. And I was not accepting where I currently at. And so in the end, that says, whatever's happening now is wrong. I'm saying to the universe, that's wrong. Whatever's happening now, right? And so, of course, it feels like something's like there's a hole there, right? And so I learned to bring all of it forth. The parts that maybe once we shamed or we didn't want to look at, or still shame, and it's a work in progress. It's continued. It's not
infinite.
It's infinite. There's always stuff that comes up, but my intention is to be real and raw with it all, is to enjoy the most out of life. And when I feel like something's missing, then I know I got to look at something that I've created. What am I pushing back, or what am I denying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's, thank you so much, Karrie, for sharing that, because for me, that was a reflection, when you were saying that, I could recognize myself in your voice, in your vibration, in your story, that, some of that missing piece that I always have been looking for it's also part of the part that I don't want to see, the part that I want to ignore, the part that I don't want to hear, the part that sometimes I don't want to even heal. And wow, I'm like having shimmers everywhere because I never really got to see the missing pieces like that.
Yeah.
Like it was something that is inside me that I don't want it. I had other perspectives of the missing piece, and this was definitely like this that you're sharing with us definitely is a gift for me right now.
Oh, beautiful. And because we recognize this, I know there's so much more in me that's still unresolved.
Mm-hmm.
I know it because I know there's so much more available there that I'm not allowing in because I haven't resolved some things. And it took me a while to get to this point. Now I'm ready to go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that I've learned is truth, is to be up front. And I was in a situation where I had to fess up that I was out of integrity. I was wrong. So I spoke to someone and said, I've done something wrong. And I just came out with the truth because I cannot live anymore with this, other stuff hanging on. Yeah, I have to just put it out there. Like, you know what I mean? You know that feeling when you're out of integrity and something is
why would you carry it, right? I have been going through the same process. That's funny you're bringing that because I have been sharing with my family when I was somehow a teenager, my late teens kind of thing. I stole a couple of things from my family members here and there. And I still to the point, I don't really get the whole point. Why did I do that? I kind of think that I know, but I'm still doubting. But I told them more than 20 years, almost like 25 years after has passed. And they were like, oh, okay. Well, you were, a child. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, I needed to share it because I just, like, my mom was surprised. It's like, oh my God, that's not the education I gave you. But it's like, Mom, it's not about that. It's not what I did wrong or right. For me, I'm done holding it inside me. Like it's something I didn't even think about it anymore. I forgot about it. But now that I remember, I'm just it's definitely still inside me. So I'm just gonna say, I didn't mean it, or that's not the truth because I did it. So I just said, the truth is I don't really know what I did it, but I did it. And I just want to share it. I'm not even apologizing because I'm definitely a different person, totally, like 25 years after. But I'm definitely, I don't know if that shows in the computer, but I'm definitely, it's just there's no point to carry it, inside. What's the point to carry it inside if it's not doing any good or any bad anymore? But I just...
And that's a form of self-love, self-care when you speak it to her, because it's not really for them, it's for you to release it. Because a lot of times when we share stuff like that, the other person may think, oh, well, why are you worrying about that? Or why you... but it's really for you, it's to clear your space.
Yeah.
But the other person may have no charge around it, right?
Yeah.
There may be no charge, but you needed to say it for to be able to have those conversations is I think a big act of self-love.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that it was about that. I didn't want to carry it. It just happened to me. I just said it when I was having this conversation with my mom, and she said, "Why now?" And I'm like, "Why not?" I'm just done carrying it. I just rather let it out than keep it inside. It's not about the consequence. For me, at that moment, it wasn't about the consequence. But literally in the last couple of months, right now we're in February the 2nd of 2022. In the whole winter here in Canada, I have been really clearing the empty corners, not the full corners, the dirty corners, those dirty corners between the walls that you never get to clean and in the floor. And I had just like, kind of when you open the closet and it's just those little corners that you just put things there because no one can see it and really doesn't bother you every day. You can't live your life like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, I could, but I don't want to anymore. So I'm like searching with a loop, searching. And it's like, yeah, I don't want this. And getting my nails into it and scratching it out. It's like, I want my corners, that even no one can see and I don't get to see every day. I want them to be clean. And that took me longer than I expected. Yeah, I have been surrendering to that. And I don't know how many corners I have to clean yet. But I definitely feel that the lightness is coming. And
the lightness.
Yeah, and I can feel it. It's not because I felt alignment. I felt very aligned when I decided to start that journey a couple months ago. I didn't know where it was going to take me. Maybe in my head, it was probably a couple of weeks, but it's taking me a couple months. And I don't know how long more I'm going to be doing it. But the more I do it, it's not like the alignment changes. It's just that it makes more sense to be aligned to me somehow. It's like, just not let me wait till I get aligned to get it done. It's just like, because I'm aligned, I just want to keep doing it. And that's a beautiful act of self-love. Like you were saying, it's like, oh, maybe I'm finally learning how to self-love myself. Because maybe I didn't know before, Well,
I think when you're aligned and you're surrendering, your being shows you what you need to look at. Like it shows you, and you're in a space to be able to take it.
Yeah, it's true.
When you're lined up, it's like, oh, then you're like, okay. No, in this space, I don't want that corner or that corner. And it shows you because it knows you're ready. You can take that now and clean.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I love that analogy, sister.
Yeah, well, I share with you. Let's clean those corners.
I love it.
Well, we have a lot of corners in our house, and especially in the closets. That's what I found. It's like, yeah, I can see it. I could leave it there and my day will go on and I'll be fine. But do I want to keep pretending that this is not inside? Do I want to keep carrying it? Because every time I open the closet, I can still, that spot, even when it's a small corner there that no one can see it, it's not available for me at the moment because it's already busy. It's already dirty, or it's already with something that I don't use anymore, but it's there, right? Same thing in the corners. While I'm, vacuuming and cleaning the floors, you see all those little corners in the middle that are a little black. And you're like, well, who cares? But then it's taking the time to take your nails or something that is little pointy and clean it. And it's like, no, I want it to be all the same. I want it to be all clean.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm doing it. It's taking me longer than expected, but that's a gift too, right? That's letting go the control and surrendering to the soul. And no, I at this point I don't understand why I'm cleaning so much space because I'm at the same time I'm not filling it up with something new, right? So I'm trusting. I'm like, okay, I don't get it, but I'm still cleaning. I'm still creating space, and this space is not getting busy with something else. It's not being occupied yet. I don't know. I don't know. I keep surrender every day. I don't know, but that's fine. Maybe it's about filling the space.
Yeah, and
the empty space.
Trusting and surrendering really go hand in hand. I think, trust that you're doing that for a reason. We don't always have to know why or what's coming in next. The fact that you're doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And be interested and curious and intrigued. And I think my favorite word is curiosity is to stay eager and curious. And if I can really stay in curiosity, then I'm less to judge myself.
Yes, it's true. Totally
right?
true. Yeah.
And curiosity. It's interesting how I just reacted. Oh, is it interesting that person triggered me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's interesting that Jen said this and it triggered me. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder. So I can look at it with curiosity, or I can look at it like, oh, what'd she say that? Like, I don't like what she said. Like, and then I'm really I'm in it.
Yeah, in taking it. Taking it for you. Like you're saying, taking the information.
Yeah.
For me, I always say taking the gift. I see it as a gift. It's like, something I haven't worked on it, something I haven't seen before, something that probably is telling me something I still unsolved. And that means evolution for me. That means, there's something here that I can grow from it. And that's the gift. That's why I see it as a gift.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karrie, so much. This conversation was a truly, truly gift for me. There were so many things that I got out of it. And I'm so thankful that you decided to do it again, because we did a couple months ago and we had technology issues everywhere. So then we run out of time. And then Karrie said, not a big deal. We do it again. And you know what? It was so worth it. So worth it. I'm so glad we had this time to just sit and surrender with each other's souls in this way, because it was a truly gift for me. And I'm definitely going to keep that of being whole. That's probably when I feel like I'm looking for a piece and missing a piece, is probably because I'm not carrying my whole with me at the moment. There's a part that I'm not bringing into the game.
Yeah. You don't want to look, I don't like that.
Very powerful. Very powerful. What a gift.
Yeah. And because we're all going to feel like those missing pieces. But one
something
thing
outside.
I know, there's never anything to fix in us. There's anything to fix. There's only everything to bring forth. And
yes.
And because it doesn't matter what they someone else needs more of what we have. And if one person can bring the whole of them forward, that's what we want for everyone in humanity, but just one person taking care of themselves to bring the whole of them forward can change. I can't even put words to what that can change out there. That the ripple effect of one person's wholeness in a space can change a village, a city, a region, with the ripple effect.
You can feel it. You can feel it. And people tend to wonder, what is this person doing that is actually feeling that way or like acting that way? They don't even get it. What is it? But they just want to start copying those attitudes or those like-minded attitudes, because it's inspiring, right? It inspires us, and we recognize each other. That's what I said today when, like when you were talking about the missing piece, that is, that part that you are not feeling whole, that part of yourself that you just want to ignore. I recognize myself in your reflection. You know what I mean? For me, it was like, sometimes that's why the whole point of having a lot of people surrender, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all a projection of our minds. And it's because you need that projection to remember who you are and what you're ready to integrate into your reality. Or that's the way I kind of experienced it lately. It's like, okay, should remind me that this is like, it was inside me, because otherwise it wouldn't click so fast into myself, right? But you remind me that that's something that resonates to my reality at the moment.
Totally. And another big word is grace as well. So allowing us to move through the challenging times with grace, without that pressure of speeding up and getting it done, of just allowing what's being called in us to just, that's part of surrender is grace,
Yeah.
right?
What about if we wrap up this powerful conversation? I want to call it that way. I know we said we're going to call it, let's call it powerful conversation with the grace of fucking surrendering to the soul.
Well, it sounds good to me. I'll eat that for dinner.
I love it. Thank you so much, Karrie, Coach K, Adventure Coach. Like, oh my God, I know I have few months telling you this, but how cool is that? Oh, what do you do for work? I'm an adventure coach. Like, come on. I love it. I love it. All right. Have a great day. I know you are about to have the last couple of days of your meeting, of your cleansing, detox. She does these amazing things you said 3 times a year, sometimes twice a year.
People can do it anytime.
Yes.
But I lead the group. Yeah. So
definitely, yes. So of course, I'm going to put Karrie's socials into whatever platform you're watching or listening to this information, of course. So please feel free to follow her up, because how cool is to watch the adventure of an adventure coach. Like, come on.
And the adventure coach is about following that call, your personal call to adventure, and stepping into it and taking the steps to follow it, no matter what. Right? So that's the adventure coach part, is to hold you high, that you step up and step forward for you, despite what else is going on in your life.
The distractions.
Yes. Thank you, my dear. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I'm definitely going to join you in the meditation that you're doing in your group. So send me the link. All right. Bye.
Bye, girl.
It feels liberating to know that you're not the only one going through chaos, isn't it? Many years ago, when I realized that I was living in a toxic environment, I checked on YouTube, hoping I could hear other stories. Do you know how many I found? I found none. So my intention with this podcast is that never happens to others again. Help me to spread the word that there is a huge light at the end of the tunnel for everyone. Hasta la próxima.